Hello. Welcome to the Civil Point Podcast. I am your host, Eriana Dieva, and I am bringing you a brand new episode of this podcast. And I am sorry that I am not happy. I am not as perky or bright as I usually am. I just realized something today. And what I realized was very scary because this is the first time I actually had this sort of thought where there's no turning back at this point. And that thought concluded with, we are at war for America currently. We are at war for this country, for this soil, and for the flag that has represented this country for the last 250 plus years. And it really dawned on me that this war is not between Republicans and Democrats. No, it's not between the left and the right. It's not between white people and black people. It's not between black people and cops. It's not between Hispanics and ICE. No, those are not the demographics that are the issue. Those are the demographics that our government wants you to believe is the issue. But the true issue, the true war for America is between the elites in this federal government regime and the American people. You see, they want to continue to keep us divided. And how they keep us divided is by creating those lines in the sand. And those lines in the sand have gotten this regime into power. It's what this regime thrives off of. The chaos, the uncertainty, the hatred, the bigotry between all these groups of people that is the melting pot of the United States. And I want to take one really big look at a demographic and a religion, and that's Christianity. Christians, I'm not asking you to throw away your whole book. I'm not asking you to throw away your Bible or disregard it. I think there are plenty of moral lessons in that Bible. But what I don't think happens in your religion is that you use your intuition to understand how your decisions, your religion, your own religious bigotry affects other people. And I'm not trying to call you out, but all I'm just saying is you have a point and a chance to save your religion, but before the cross becomes a stain in history of the world, just like Nazi Germany's swastika did. And I'm sorry to put it that way, and I'm sorry to equate it that way, but your religion has been held hostage. Your religion has been taken and perverted by a man who just looked to cloak himself in your religious beliefs for power, not for honoring your God, not for honoring your Bible, not for honoring your teachings, but for power, for unbridled, unchecked power in the United States. And I'm sorry to say this, but Christians, you got conned. And right now, in this point in time, where there is a clear war between the high elites that are in this government and the everyday American people, you being the closest to Donald Trump's regime need to step up and say, no more of us seeing mothers ripped away from children. No more of us seeing fathers deported. No more of these family values that we value taken away from other families. It's now a pivotal point in time to say, I believe my religion, I believe my book, I won't question it, but I will also use my intuition to defend the rights of human beings. Because all in all, the truth about religion the truth embedded in the heart of every religion, every progressive religion that sees people as people, is that you have to honor your neighbor. Honor them as they're your own family. And I say this because right now we are at a pivotal point where the sign of the cross, the sign that Jesus Christ died on, has the ability to turn into a disgusting, grotesque mark, just as Nazi Germany's swastika is in our world, in our communities. And I say that clearly because our government and the high elites are cloaking themselves in your religion to justify ripping away families, deporting children, killing children, raping children, having children and bodies shackled and rolling up on overseas islands. This is what your Christianity has done, and you need to stand up and take it back. Take it back to what the real meaning of Christianity is. And like I said, I'm not telling you to throw away your book. I'm not telling you to disregard it. I'm saying use your book, use your intuition to come to a common sense decision that what is going on in this country and how this man cloaked himself in your religion to get unbridled power, you have the kryptonite to stop this man. So, the fact that the word Nazi, a symbol of bigotry, hatred, and anti-Semitism, a symbol of concentration camps and gas chambers, a symbol of a dictator in Adolf Hitler, is being used in our everyday society, and people are adhering to it and saying, well, if you want to call me a Nazi, call me a Nazi. That's absurd to me. This is not the America that when we were growing up, we were promised. We weren't promised to live in America where we are fearful of ICE showing up at 12 a.m. in the morning after everyone's asleep and ripping apart apartments and zip tying children. This is not the country we were promised. This country right now is stolen by the elites. This country is stolen right now. And I know you guys don't want to hear me say this, but Donald Trump is not one of you. Donald Trump is not an American. He is not an American citizen. He's an untouchable elite. And if you think he's anything else other than that, then tell me why. Tell me why this man has ties, deep ties, to Jeffrey Epstein, who is a sex trafficker, or was a sex trafficker, because he's dead now. But my point is, he wants you to believe that you can be him one day. But Donald Trump wants you to believe that you can be Donald Trump one day. But the truth is, that man will never, ever let there be another Donald Trump unless it's his sons. That's the God's to honest truth. You will never reach the epitome or the grotesque low, I should say, that is Donald Trump. Never. But I want to continue on. That was my epiphany today. That was my little epiphany today. And that was my little, speech here. But it's the truth. It's the sad and it's the honest truth that we are in a state right now where we need everyone, every American, to stand up against these elites that are in our administration that is conducting a hostile takeover and coup of America itself. So, I did want to get into why I also think this and what triggered it in my mind today. And what triggered this in my mind today was Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom triggered this wholeheartedly. And let's pull this up here. Gavin Newsom tweeted this because our education system is under attack as well. And the way to pervert our youth is to pervert the education system. And that is something that Donald Trump, the administration, and his Department of Education is looking to do by ripping apart our education system, ripping apart our DEI policies, ripping apart undocumented immigrants who are in our school systems and ripping them out of classes and ripping away books, ripping away history, ripping away anything else that doesn't deem America as the greatest of all time since its inception, when we know that's an inherent lie. So Gavin Newsom tweeted this: California universities that bend to the will of Donald Trump and sign this insane compact will lose billions in state funding immediately. California will not bankroll schools that sign away academic freedom. And this just hit me because we've seen it over the past few months. Donald Trump trying to invoke his dictator powers against democratic cities and states. And this hit me because this is a clear clash of state versus federal. It's clear. This is a clash of trying to protect states' rights. And Donald Trump and his Department of Education is now trying to manipulate and extort our education systems throughout the United States by throwing in this compact and saying you will receive no funding if you do not abide and resolve our issues in America with our agenda. And that is scary. That is scary. It should be scary to anyone. And it's super scary to me because it's like our state reps, our governors, Gavin Newsom is sitting here saying, oh, I'm going toe to toe with you on this. Like if any one of you take up Trump on his offer, you're losing billions of dollars in funding because we are not going to sit here and allow a fascist president dictate what is being taught in our schools. So I wanted to actually go into this a little bit because there's more when it comes to this compact for higher education. And it also includes this higher education landscape. Sorry, that's not the article I wanted. I wanted an article. Where's the article here? I had the article. Well, I guess we can go with that one. I thought I had the actual article. Okay, there we go. Well, it's not the article, but it's close enough to it. So we'll go with it. We will go with it. Let's get it up on the screen here. It's close enough to it. So, when we talk about Trump's compact for academic excellence in higher education, it attacks really basically everything you would think it would attack because this administration has been attacking DEI policies and immigration and minority groups of communities 24/7. I mean, it's just nonstop with this presidency. And I'm talking about every day for the last 8 months. It has been nonstop attacks on minority groups of people, and you can't say otherwise. It hasn't been. But the 10-point compact education plan includes admissions and hiring. This means it will prohibit the use of race or sex in hiring and admissions. All undergraduate applicants would be required to take the SAT or a similar standardized test. Here's what I want to say about DEI programs. DEI programs isn't just saying, here's a black person, get him in there so we can fill a quota. DEI programs were made and were, I would say, pretty much perfected with a little bit of tweaks here and there that could have happened. But DEI programs were made so qualified minority students from impoverished communities can get into spots that normally would use bigotry and racism to exclude them from those spots. So by having a quota for qualified minority groups of people, it allows for more diversity in universities, diversities in the workplace, diversity in any sector of our federal government. And by including diversity, we can dilute the bigotry and racism and allow actual cultures to thrive in our United States. Now, what this administration is essentially saying is that screw your DEI policies, screw your minority communities, screw the impoverished people that don't have opportunities. No, no, no. We want who we want in these positions, and that's it. And usually, and we know where it's going, that it's going back to the white centrist of it all. And I'm not even talking about white centrist. I'm talking about white male centrist. That is who they want in these positions. Unqualified people who can buy their way into colleges, buy their way through college, and then also somehow serve as the Secretary of Defense. Like, make it make sense. Tuition and enrollment. So they freeze tuition for 5 years and cap international undergraduates enrollment at 15%. That's if enrollment happens for these minority communities. Campus climate, maintain a vibrant marketplace of ideas, and ban employees from expressing political views on behalf of their employer. This includes eliminating institutional units that purposely punish, belittle, or even spark violence against conservative ideas. Talk about the complete hypocrisy of that. Don't introduce any sort of political beliefs at all. But, if you talk about conservative beliefs, that's okay. So let's talk about, is conservative beliefs not political beliefs? Am I missing something here? Are we missing the dichotomy and the hypocrisy of this administration's statements, or is everyone else clocking it here? Because I'm clocking it. Gender identity, it also accepts the government's definitions of gender for campus facilities, locker rooms, and sports teams. So by that, basically saying trans people don't exist in your universities. They cannot use the bathroom, they cannot join sports teams, they cannot use locker rooms, they can basically not exist at your universities. And then civility, implement conditions of civility to prohibit disruptive demonstrations on campus. That means you can't protest your campus, you can't protest speakers at your campus, you can't protest anything at all. Look at that. Isn't that a violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution? I'm pretty sure it is. There's another, and obviously this is unconstitutional. It goes against the amendments that have been created to explore diversity. It goes against the Freedom of Speech Amendment. You're allowed to protest wherever you want in the United States as long as it's peaceful and it doesn't cause a major disturbance. This 10-point compact plan for higher education and academic excellence is unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. So this is why none other than Gavin Newsom was like, screw your bullshit. If any of the California universities take part in this and allow Trump to dilute the actual environments of how schools operate and thrive through our teachers, through our what's the word? I just missed the word. It was on the tip of my tongue. From our researchers and everything like that. Screw you. You're not getting our funding because this is unconstitutional. It promotes a white male centrist world, and we don't allow that, and we're not going to allow that. If you are a white man and you're qualified for the position, congratulations, you get it. But if you are a white man and you are unqualified because you can barely get your way through school and your parents paid your way through school and you paid your way through school and you barely made it out and you are considered unqualified, then you're not going to get these positions. And that's how life works. That's how life should work. And they're trying to dilute and pervert the actual ideologies of how DEI works. DEI isn't taking away jobs from anyone. It's actually including jobs for minority groups of communities who are qualified for those positions. And this is why I had such And I don't want to talk about him anymore too much unless, more stuff comes out about his wife. But this is why I have such a hard time with Charlie Kirk, because he literally went on a podcast, on a live mic, where he could be documented saying it, that if there was a black pilot on a plane, and he got on the plane, he would wonder if that black pilot was qualified, or if a black lesbian woman cutting him open in surgery was qualified. When you think of the stupidity of that statement, you think a airline or a hospital would try and create a liability for themselves by hiring an unqualified professional. Well, at that point, they're not a professional because they're unqualified. But do you think an airline or a hospital would create liability for themselves by hiring someone who is not qualified? I don't think so. So that's where his statements are false. His statements are misogynistic and rooted in bigotry and ignorance, because he doesn't understand that qualified individuals get into those DEI positions, not just some schmuck off the street of Fifth Avenue who's smoking crack. That's not how DEI works. So this is why it's just insane to me that all of this is going on, all of this is happening, and on top of our Constitution being ignored and ripped apart, I can't say president, but I don't want to say dictator, because then that makes it real. I'm just going to call him scummy. Scummy, that's all, Scamander in chief, but that scummy individual who sits at the highest point of our country, he's creating so much division and hatred and bigotry to flow throughout our streets in the United States. And it's scary to see that the Constitution is being ignored. Judicial orders are being ignored. Not only that, but you have ICE going into cities now, and these cities are being tormented by people that are supposed to protect them. It's just a very scary point that we're in right now. And when I talk about ICE, this is something I also wanted to talk about, is these ICE raids outside homeless shelters in the middle of the night at 12 a.m. when the people are sleeping. And I want to go ahead and play these videos here, because it's just... This is not America. This is not the America that when we grew up we were promised. This is an America that is a Gotham, an antithesis of what we were institutionalized to believe America was. This is the antithesis. This is the Gotham, and this is the upside down world of America. Take a look at this. I don't know what's going on with my internet today.
Shelter leaders describe the raid as an ambush. They say some residents tried to hurry back inside. Others weren't so lucky.
It was about 30 to 35 masked agents in the streets all over the place. You saw chaos, and they just completely caught everybody off guard.
Watch the surveillance. It happens fast. Around 9 in the morning, unmarked SUVs pull up to a Bronzeville shelter, and ICE agents rush out.
There were about 20 residents maybe outside here, and they immediately gave chase.
That's when leaders with the Bright Star Community Development Corporation, which operates the shelter, say 5 of their residents were detained. One of them was later released.
What's happening?
They pulled up, I don't know, and they detained, I think, 4 individuals right now.
Isn't that crazy? Just pulling up unmarked vehicles, detaining people, and then just, where do these people go? But this is even a scarier one, because this happened in Chicago at 12 a.m. on October 1st or October 2nd. October 2nd. This is scarier because I want to talk about the similarities between the ICE raids that are happening right now and Nazi Germany. So it's leaving people in a sense of fear, a fight or flight mode in the United States. It's unbecoming of a president to ensue and cause chaos and fear and peddle that fear into your nightly routine. I mean, imagine brushing your teeth, going to bed, and then waking up to knocking on your door. Ferocious knocking, because I can only expect it to be ferocious. And being so delirious from waking up, like, what the hell is going on? And not realizing that ICE is at your door because you're so tired, and opening your door and them thinking that is a way in when it's not, because you did not authorize them to come in. It is a scare tactic. It is manipulation. It is desensitizing the public to a martial law. And it's scary. It's downright terrifying for not only now immigrants who are perceived to be Spanish or of Latino descent, but they went into an apartment complex here. And in Chicago, they completely tore apart the complex and had people in the streets lined up at 1 a.m. in the morning with kids zip tied. Like, do you not see how disgusting this is? The ICE agents that are committing these raids, how do you justify zip tying children who are barely awake and putting them in the street zip tied with barely any clothes on? How do you justify? How do you go to sleep at night saying, I just zip tied a kid? You know, woke him up out of the middle of sleep. He was 7 years old, and, just zip tied him up. He was barely clothed and put him on the side of the street until we interviewed his parents. And if they're undocumented, he's probably going to go too. Like, how do you justify that? I can't fathomably justify that. And maybe that's because I have empathy. Maybe that's because I have compassion. And that's the antithesis of what it means to be an ICE officer. You can't have empathy or compassion. You have to be a robot, and you have to respect the rule of law that's coming from the corrupt Pete Hegseth. Like, I just can't fathom it. It's crazy. And the resemblance of Nazi Germany is so crucial. Because what did Nazi Germany do when they wanted to catch Jews off guard? Especially towards the beginning. They raided at early hours of the morning to catch people off guard, capture them, take them to concentration camps, and then use gas chambers to murder and commit genocide of Jewish people. Look at what's happening in the United States right now. Our president, and I hate to say it, but Khan Don has created a militia of his own volition and used that militia named ICE to conduct raids throughout the United States, mostly Democratic cities that have immigrants, and now targeting Black people. And then they're using those raids at early hours in the morning to then capture people, and not only capture immigrants, but capture people that even have simple warrants. You know how many constitutional problems and issues this causes, especially when you talk about the Fourth Amendment, the rights to searches and seizures? And this is why I say it's a problem here. It's a direct destruction of the United States Constitution. They are ignoring court orders. They are ignoring the Constitution. They aren't putting the letter to the law. They are scribbling out the law and ripping it apart. And then if they get caught, well, they're Look, this is what I just realized. We, as a country and as a world, did not do enough to penalize the Nazis that were caught after World War II for their world crimes and civil crimes and criminal crimes against a Jewish population causing a genocide. We slapped them on the wrist. And now this is the product of slapping someone on the wrist when they committed horrible crimes. They get to now popularize and say, oh, well, you want to call us a Nazi? We'll be a Nazi. They get to popularize in our current day society because no one did any more harm to them when they deserve to be on a death penalty. That's what's happening. They didn't see the punishment that should have happened to them, and now they're popularizing because they didn't see that punishment from after World War II. They think, well, that was okay. Maybe we can get away with it again. And this is what's happening in the United States. And maybe it's the United States karma. Maybe it's the karma of the United States. Because right now, across the world, across the sea, we're seeing a genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. And what do? We wake up, go to work, scroll our phones, see what's happening, and don't do a damn thing about it. We are allowing these high elites to commit genocides of people because we are stuck in a system where if we miss a day of work, we may not be able to feed our families. This is what's going on. They are keeping us detained in our own society, in our own structure, so we can't help people around the world. This is what's happening. But on another note, it's just so heartbreaking to see all of this happening. And I don't usually watch The View. I don't. It's just not my show that I usually watch. It's not something that I usually watch, but I'll catch clips here and there. I watched the episode with Zohran Mamdani, and I thought that was very interesting, but that's a whole nother episode and topic. But I watched this one clip, and I want to show it to you guys, and it was Joy Behar. So let's get this pulled up here. And I want you to listen carefully to what she says.
You guys think that we can survive another 3.5 years of this? I think you're delusional. Every day there's some nihilistic
it's only
thing.
Tuesday, Joy. Can we not start there?
You're
you're the one who
I
always
tells
to
be
me,
Debbie
though,
Downer,
but
every
always tell
day
me
this guy
country
is
survived a lot.
undoing something in this country that we value. Every day. It's every day is a shock and awe here. And I, for one, am skeptical that we will survive this.
I am not.
I am
so
not.
if you need that
You
from
am
me,
not.
I do believe
Joy,
or believe in our
you've
system.
seen worse.
No,
right?
no, I
You've
have
seen
not.
Worse.
No, I grew up during World War II.
It's Whoopi that says she's seen worse.
No, I thought
All right, I'm going to need
Joy saw
Whoopi to
worse.
cheer us up. Yeah.
No, but every
Cuban
president,
Missile
every
Crisis,
president,
civil rights.
And they were all dealt with by presidents who were not, in the business of destroying the country and destroying.
I wanted to pause it there because there's a few things in this clip that happened. First, I agree with Joy. I 100,000% agree with Joy here. I think it's very hard to have an optimistic point of view when you see every day our rights are being infringed upon, our Constitution is being ignored, our state rights are clashing with federal law enforcement, ICE agents are in the streets terrorizing American citizens, detaining American citizens, putting American citizens into camps, and then sending them abroad with no due process. It's scary to see an optimistic outcome of this because how early on in this second presidency we are in. And it's true. I don't think we can survive another 3 years of this presidency, given how much of an inch they had and how much of 50 miles they have taken from the American people. It's true. And what I disliked about this clip was that they tried to downplay her fear. They tried to downplay her legitimate fear of America not existing as it has been over the last 250 plus years. They were like, no, you've seen worse. You've seen worse. No, she's right. This is the worst. We've never in American history had a president that has cuddled and coddled up to dictators and rolled out red carpets for dictators. We have never had a president coddle up to a foreign leader and a foreign war criminal that's committing war crimes against children in Gaza. We have never, as America, stood with a president that sat here and undermined the Constitution. Not only undermined it, but completely ignores it at every chance he takes when it comes to the National Guard going into states. He was told that he can't do that, and now he's trying to do it in Portland and in Chicago. It's like there's no end to the madness. And yeah, she's saying, I'm sorry if I'm being nihilistic, but at the same time, don't be sorry, because it is the God's to honest truth. And for Sarah and the Republican girl and I forget the other girl's name to sit, that's why I don't watch The View, but for them to sit there and say, no, you've seen worse, to downplay her feelings and her emotions of how she's lived her life and what she's seen and comparing it to now, it pissed me off. Because I was like, are you guys blind? We can't sit here and coddle the truth. We can't sit here and protect the American public by saying something isn't happening when it is happening. You need to rip the Band-Aid off, smash it in their face, and say you need to stand up and do something about it before your livelihoods are taken away. So, back to this clip here.
The Constitution.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
I mean, we always had presidents who followed the law, including Nixon. As bad as he was, he had respect for the Constitution. And he didn't go after the military and call them names.
Yeah, and it's true. I agree with her. Even with Nixon obviously had his whole gate situation. And I think the difference between someone like Nixon and someone like Trump is that Nixon still served to serve the public. He made bad decisions, but he still served to serve the public and understood what the Constitution meant to the United States. Donald Trump, he does not serve to serve the American people. He serves to service himself. He serves to line his pockets. That is what's going on. And that's the stark contrast between Nixon, who is a disgrace to this country, and Trump, who is a complete shit stain to this country. The difference is Trump doesn't give two shits about America. He doesn't give two shits about Americans. He doesn't give two shits about MAGA. And he said it when he said he would rip away healthcare from millions of people because he wants to blame the Democrats for a shutdown. When the truth and reality is the only person to blame for the shutdown are the people who are in charge of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And quite honestly, in charge of the actual Supreme Court as well. They have a full card House power of actual, just complete and utter grip of control of this country, and yet they blame someone who does not have the actual control of this country. Look at the big picture. They are creating nothing but stark cracks in our system so that way they can thrive. Trump can thrive and line his pockets and cozy up with dictators and stay in power until 2028. So, it's true. I agree with Joy here. It's very hard to sit here and say there's optimism, especially when we have Democratic leaders that are not showing up as they should show up. It's very hard. Very hard. So I agree with her. But on another note, we're going to go ahead and continue on. We have quite a few things here to cover tonight. And I also wanted to cover this as well. And I'm sorry if, I can't see my chat right now, because right now my chat is acting up. It's weird. So this is just a recording. But I wanted to also point out that right now I think a lot of people that voted for Trump are starting to have buyer's remorse because they're seeing it affecting their families. They're seeing it that their wives or their husbands being taken and deported when Trump said it was only going to be criminals. Well, he generalized Latinos, Mexicans, and Spanish people. You thought he was just going to go after criminals when he said Mexicans are rapists? No. When someone is able to generalize a group of people, they're not going to be able to separate it because they're your wife or your husband. It's clear as day, and it's there. You may have heard criminal, you may have saw that your wife is not a criminal, but Donald Trump and his administration said Mexicans, and he saw Mexican, and he's going to deport your wife or husband. That's the stark difference. You understand what your wife is, but to the general public of Donald Trump and the assumptions and the bigotry of this administration, they view her or him as a Mexican, and you're going to lose your wife or your husband. There's the difference. And that's what you fell for when you voted for MAGA, when you voted for Trump. And I want to go ahead and say I honestly feel like a lot of people are having buyer's remorse when it comes especially to immigration in this country. I wanted to play this clip of Theo Vaughn, who essentially is saying, like, damn, I have a little bit of buyer's remorse here.
You know, like, nobody said, hey, this is going to happen. Like, and I have a lot of different thoughts about immigration, right? They're like showing people getting arrested. Like, it's just an intense thing. Like, and why is the government even making these? I don't know. But that's where we're at in the world. And I have a lot of thoughts about immigration, right? I have a ton of them. And we don't need to go into them all right now. I've talked about them on other episodes. I feel like they're doing a lot of bookkeeping in the country right now because we're going to get into a surveillance state.
So before I continue this, the surveillance state is very scary to think about because, I mean, this is something that the government, even before Trump, has been trying to do and enact. I don't think that's anything different. But when it comes to the immigration part of it, he's talking about a video that was posted by the White House, and it had him a part of it, and it basically promoted the unethical handling of immigrants in our country. And he didn't know that he was going to be in that video and his face was going to be in that video. And when he saw it, he saw his phone blow up with, like, you're a racist, you're a this, you're a that, you support ICE, what a fucking retard, what a douchebag, blah, blah, blah. Phone lit up, as it should. But he didn't know this video was going to be posted, and he didn't even know he was going to be a part of it or in it, and the White House posted it. And he was like, damn, wait, my father's an immigrant. Like, what's going on? Like, he got whiplashed by the White House.
And everyone is going to have to be on the books, right? So that's where I believe that we're headed. But this was just wild, you know, and people are like sending messages and like hateful stuff, and, you know, you think all these illegals should, and all this type of shit. And like, I could talk to you ad nauseum about that, but this wasn't the time for it. It just was something that they used and put out there and everybody saw, right? So I'm getting a ton of hateful stuff.
So let's go on to this clip as well here.
Him on the log. I think it should be known, right? I do. Now, how do you get there? That's the bigger question, and we don't have to discuss that today, right? It's not about that. And sorry I'm going slow here. I'm trying to piece this together. So now I have this thing with security, but then you get a security person, and if you're walking on a security guy, then that's kind of uncomfortable. Because now you're like, it kind of makes you spooked. You're like, well, what's going on? So there's just like all of that's happening. And then we get to just the job, right? Like, which is performing, speaking in front of strangers. Like, you had just seen this thing with Charlie Kirk, right? It's like we all watch somebody get lit up. We all watch somebody get murdered casually on our phones, right? Like, and I don't mean to say it like that, but that's how it came across.
So I want to speak to this because this is a very true statement. Yes, it sucks that someone like Theo is going to now live in fear from promoting himself and going to shows and doing things like that. It's a very real fear when you're a public figure that someone isn't going to like you, but to the point of being shot and killed, that's a different story. No one should be shot and killed because of their political beliefs. But when here's the dichotomy of it all. When your political beliefs hurt other people, especially hurt other marginalized groups of communities, Your voice is no longer an opinion. It's hate speech, bigotry, and it is coded to inflict and implement policies that hurt those minorities groups of people. So your opinion of I don't like watermelon is different from black people like watermelon, so they should not be allowed to eat watermelon in the United States. Thus, if we catch a black person eating watermelon in the United States, then we have to deport them. Or worse, we get to shoot them up on the line and knock them all out. That's the difference between hate speech, racism and bigotry, and an opinion. And the fact is that these people, like Theo Vaughn, like Andrew Schulz, like Charlie Kirk, they promoted these opinions of hate speech. Let me correct that. They promoted these words of hate speech instead of opinions. Opinions is a difference of how we can get immigration to work properly and reform it so people can access easily the United States. A hate speech opinion is all Mexicans are rapists. That's the difference. So I think after this experience with Charlie Kirk, and then the White House using his image and likeness in a video, he said, and then after all the hate that came his way, he was like, hold up, maybe I did do something wrong. Maybe I contributed to this base and this horrible situation our country is in when it comes to immigrants. And I didn't even think of it maybe, but my dad's an immigrant. So I think people are starting to come to a little bit of a buyer's remorse when it comes to Trump. Maybe a little bit slower than we would like. Speed it up a little bit and talk to your fan base and say, I was wrong. I fucked up. I voted and I promoted someone that did not have my same ideologies. Yes, there's conversations about immigration, but the conversations weren't had in depth to where I understood what this administration's plan was. And I don't support how they're going about immigration, how they're going about unmarked vans and abducting people off streets and from apartment buildings at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then these people are never to be seen from or heard from again. So I think it's big of him, not in this clip, but hopefully in the future, he says, I fucked up. We need to make a change. So it's a scary, 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 scary area that we're in right now. I wanted to then talk about the Democrat shutdown, because this is no longer sustainable. It's no longer sustainable in this society right now to have left versus right. They're creating a war between Americans, and like I said, the war is not between Americans, it's between the elite regime that's in charge and Americans themselves. I wanted to take a look at this video, and I wanted to show you how sadistic this regime is. So take a look at this. This was posted by the White House. It is called Democrat Government Shutdown. It was posted literally hours after the Democrat shutdown. Take a look.
The party of open borders, transgender for everybody, lawlessness in our streets are shutting down the government in an effort to appease the radical left. These Democrats are coordinating their strategy with outside leftist groups and are demanding nearly $1.5 trillion in spending for an agenda that includes healthcare for illegal aliens, and much, much more. Democrats for years have railed against government shutdowns, claiming a shutdown would mean much chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. Democrats are out of control, and you know who it hurts?
You, everyday people, and the most vulnerable, seniors, veterans, working families, hungry.
The fact that they would use a black woman in this fear propaganda against the Democrat and the left and creating this evil entity of the left is absurd to me, because we know they're not about DEI, but they're gonna throw a black woman in this mix, in this evil video. The fact, I want to talk about the propaganda and the propagandization of this Democrat shutdown. When the shutdown happened, they had a press conference, and I think I can pull it up. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up here. Let me pull it up. Hopefully I can find it. I'm probably not going to be able to find it right now. But, there was a press conference, and the photo pissed me off. You know, maybe if I put that. I'm so mad. I had it. Oh, here it is. Here's the picture. Perfect. Okay, let's pull this up here. This picture is what had me pressed, because I was like, the fuck? So this picture had me pressed, because this was hours after they announced that the shutdown was ensuing because they couldn't meet a clean resolution for the bill. The fact that they had a podium already made for the characterization and labeling of the Democrat shutdown, with a poster board saying the Democrat shutdown, does that not give premeditated, like they were anticipating this to demonize the left as the issue? Like, is anyone else clocking that? The propaganda of the Democrat shutdown was already made prior to when the government shut down. Do you not see the dots connecting here? This was all premeditated by Donald Trump. And I want to make one thing very, very clear about this shutdown. Very, very clear. This isn't the Democrat shutdown. The Republicans have the power. They have the Senate, they have the House, they have Congress. That's what that makes up, Congress. And then they have the presidency. They are in power. So how can you blame a shutdown on entities that are not in power, that don't have the power? Please explain it to me. I want to make one thing very clear. This shutdown is not because of the Democrats. The Democrats aren't trying to give transgenders for everyone, like that video stated. The Democrats aren't trying to give illegal aliens health care. The Democrats aren't trying to have $1.5 trillion, as stated in that video, for unscrupulous ideas. No, it's not what's happening. First of all, transgenders for everyone isn't proper grammar. Like, what? Transgenders, or what are we, Oprah? Transgender for you, transgender for you. Crazy. Second of all, illegal aliens aren't eligible for Medicaid and Medicare and subsidies of that nature. And second of all, where did you get the $1.5 trillion? Because that's an exaggerated, exorbitant number for demands that weren't even created or proposed in the resolution bill. So it's just insane to me that they're propagandizing this Democrat shutdown. And I'm just like, you guys had this all planned before, because how did you get that podium? How did you get that poster board with that podium on it? Like, you knew this was happening. You were planning for it to happen. And you weren't going to budge on it because you already knew and had this plan of the Democrat shutdown to demonize the left. It's all premeditated. So I want to make another thing very clear. This isn't the Democrat shutdown. This is Trump's hissy fit. He wants to control the pharmaceutical drug industry and the healthcare industry. It's a $1 trillion industry. And what's crazy is I found an article, which I'll pull up in a second, but This is Trump's hissy fit, that if he cannot control healthcare and pharmaceutical drugs, he will not allow Americans to have their healthcare through Medicaid and Medicare. He will not allow you to access, benefits like SNAP and WIC unless he can control and profit off of the pharmaceutical drug companies and healthcare industries. That is what this shutdown is about. It's not about the Democrats shutting down for transgenders for everyone. It's not about the Democrats shutting down for unscrupulous amount of money. It's not the Democrats shutting down because they want to give health care to millions of illegal immigrants when they're not even qualified to get that health care. No, it's about Donald Trump and his goonies shutting down American health care because they want control and they want to profit off of pharmaceutical drugs and health care. That's what this is about. And I'll prove it. So, look at this article here as I pull it up. Is this it? This one's it. Here we go. So, look at the title. They want to say the Democrats are closing it because they need health unscrupulous and crazy demands for health care. But the truth is, Trump just announced that Trump RX website for pharmaceutical drugs after the Pfizer deal. I want to take a look at this Pfizer deal because it is insane. First of all, Pfizer is a drug company, and I don't know, Donald Trump has had so much to say about Pfizer in the news. Like, it was like, especially with the COVID stuff, but now he's looking to buy Pfizer, a company he dismissed and disparaged throughout his politician career. That's the first red flag. The second red flag about this is that basically what this is explaining is that Trump is going to be his own insurance company and it's going to be run through the government. So he strong-armed Pfizer into this deal. He said, I will relieve you of the tariffs that we could place on you for importing drugs to the United States. But only if you, when you bring your drugs into the United States, you cap them at a minimum amount, and then Trump, in Trump RX, the insurance scam that will be presented to the United States, will then have the ability to up the cost of those drugs and then reap and pocket the profits to line his own pockets. The conflict of interest is super there. It's wide in your face, and it's like, why does our president get to profit off of pharmaceutical drug prices when he's saying that he's going to lower them? But this margin of the net actual process, the actual net cost of the drug coming into the United States, and then the gross amount that he could charge, it gives him a way too much power to then charge for medicine. He's saying that this is a great way for the American people to have a low cost for medicine. But is it really a great way when our president can dictate the actual amount is being charged? It's not. It's giving a loophole, saying, yeah, we're getting these drugs for the pricing that we need them for our constituents, for our citizens, for Americans. But then if they want to say inflation is causing a rise in it, they can. It's not sustainable. It's not ethical for a president to be in this position where he's literally having the ability to have his own insurance scheme and charge to the roof and pocket for pharmaceutical drugs that people need. And this is why the government is shut down. It's not because of the Democrats. It's because Trump is throwing a hissy fit that he wants to increase prices for health care. He wants that, so that way he can pocket the difference and line his pockets with pharmaceutical corrupt drug money. That's what's going on. Yeah. That's what I came to as a conclusion. Because it was all a little too weird for me seeing the whole propaganda of the Democrat shutdown and them forcing health care down our throats, that was the reason that this House resolution bill was not being passed. And it was the Democrats' fault because they want to support transgenders and illegal immigrants. When someone's pointing a finger, there's 3 pointing back at them. That means there's 3 times more guilt at them than there is to you. So this is why our government is shutting down. It's Trump's hissy fit because he wants to control the pharmaceutical drug market and line his pockets. It's not because the Democrats want to give transgenders to everyone and illegal immigrants health care they're not even qualified to get. Straight up lies from the Republican Party, straight up lies from literally Trump, the President of the United States, and J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, lying to your face through a camera. And this is where I say why I'm getting so frustrated in this world, because it's like facts don't matter. Facts don't matter. And people's perceptions and people's propaganda, especially this administration's propaganda, is the only thing that matters to their base. And it's scary to think that the base of MAGA is just robots now. It's robots. And hopefully some of them are waking up like Theo Von and saying, wait, what the fuck is going on? But I'm hoping it's not too late, but it's looking to be a little bit, too late. But if we stand up and fight, this is what I'm going to leave you guys on, especially with the ICE raids that are going on in Democratic cities. Go to your mayors in your cities, go to your governors, and ask them and hold them accountable. And help them understand and help you understand what they are doing to protect you as American citizens and to protect the United States Constitution. Because the ICE raids that are going on are now not only targeting Hispanics people, as we all knew it wouldn't just stick to Hispanic people. It's targeting Black people. Then it's going to target Jewish people. Then it's going to target every demographic that isn't white Christian nationalists. That is what's going to happen. So go to your mayors, go to your governors and say, we want accountability. What are you doing to stop these ICE raids, these illegal and unconstitutional ICE raids from happening in our neighbors' buildings, in our neighbors' homes, in your home? Go and get your answers, because you need protection, and your governors and your mayors and the Congress people, when they're in fucking business, I guess you could say, when they're in office, those are the people you need answers from. And those are the people that need to be held accountable for the unconstitutional things that are about to happen throughout the democratic cities in the United States. Trump said it himself that he's declaring war on the United States. And let's take a quick look at it, because it was just disturbing to watch when he's addressing a full of generals.
But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone. And I get a call from the liberal governor, sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said,
I want to end on this. And this is why I say that America is currently at war. It may not be a bloody war right now, but it's a war between the elite regime that's running our country, the tech oligarchs that are running our country, the elite businessmen that are running this country, the billionaires, the trillionaires, and the American public. And Donald Trump sat here on live TV and said, we have an enemy from within. Unfortunately, that enemy isn't who they think it is. That enemy is not the American public. Donald Trump, it's unconstitutional for you as president to send our troops on American soil to detain, harass, intimidate, scare American people. It's unconstitutional. So I want to leave you with this. Just get to your mayors, get to your governors, get to your state representatives and say, how do you look to protect us? Because what ICE is doing is unconstitutional. What Trump is implementing and throwing National Guard and Marines and troops into democratic cities is unconstitutional. And I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I hope you guys, if you haven't already, before I forget, go ahead, hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss out on new content here. This is the Civil Point Podcast. I'm your host, Eriana Dieva, and I will catch you guys on the next episode of the Civil Point Podcast. Bye.